welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing the finale episode for Love is Blind, episode 12. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So, Love is Blind, episode 12, Leap of Faith. So we're back with that conversation with Ramses and Marissa. And he says that he kind of spoke with his family, his people, and kind of again talking about the divorce was kind of brought up. And he's like, I worry that I will hurt you, because she hurt me more than I realize. If I'm incorrect, now again, I think with divorce comes that grieving process, and with that grieving process of that failed relationship comes insight on everything, no matter what that is. And I believe they got married at 25, or did they get divorced at 25? I can't remember here, but I think it was that they got married when he was 25. I believe he's now 35. I think they were married for a couple of years. You've had time to work through this. And the kind of person he presents himself as, as a man who would not be, against doing some form of therapy. And the fact that he hasn't done the work on himself, and all of a sudden you're realizing this hurt that you had from your previous relationship it seems convenient to me. Like, again, everyone handles their, broken relationship differently. And I just know, as a person who has been in that situation, also married at, well, not quite 25, but at 24, and divorced by the time I was just prior to 30. um it's just, I don't understand how you think you come out of that unscathed, that you don't have work to do, and that you don't already realize that that relationship affects how you move through relationships going forward. I'm going to assume he has been in some form of a relationship since his divorce. You can't tell me that he hasn't had some form of a relationship with someone since his divorce. And you're just now realizing it. It just, to me, feels convenient. But I, again, I think like he's worried about hurting her due to his hurt, which I do understand. Um, Trust me, I do. But I think having the full awareness that that is a possibility is a step in the right direction. And again, he has to realize that though, but you're realizing it. So with realization, can't you then do your best to make sure that your past traumas don't reflect onto your most recent? I know it's easier said than done, but can't that not be possible? And I just, I don't know if everything he's kind of saying here feels like a cop out. And again, I think Marissa can be understanding enough that she can say, okay, like if you say to her, listen, I'm going to have my ups, I'm going to have my downs. And, can you ride that with me? And it, if anything, to me, it feels more like his quote unquote reservations about where he is at emotionally, mentally post divorce. It actually has nothing to do with this divorce. It has everything more to do with his relationship with Marissa. And I think with the not on the same page with the future and what their sex life potentially will look like. I don't know if they come to an agreement on that, or if they ever attempted to come to an agreement on that, nor that I think it matters at this point. But it's just, yeah, I don't believe him. I think it's where I'm getting at here. But he said, like, I don't think love is enough. And she says, like, I agree with that. And I think we can all agree with that. But she says, is that all we have though? Do you think that all there is love? That there isn't other anything else? And he says there are certain things that we can't, get around. And I personally think, again, that goes back to the lack of agreement on the future when it comes to kids and their sex life. And she says, I think we are good together. And at this point, personally, I wouldn't have begged. I understand where that's coming from with her, though. I think we'll kind of see it here, but history kind of repeating itself for her that she feels like she needs to and wouldn't. But anyways, she says we complement each other, and he says I always face my feeling or trust my feelings. Sorry, trust follow my feelings. And he says my feelings, you know, normally, I guess is his guiding light, or he thinks it is. But he says, I always tell myself to not just think with the feelings, and he says, my feelings are telling me to go ahead. Are they though? But he says, but I have made mistakes along the way with doing, with following the feelings. And again, I think like he's saying feelings, but I think a lot of us would say our head or in our heart. And yes, you're not the only one though. You're not the only one that only uses your heart. But the fact that if you're supposed to be getting married at the end of this, the fact that your brain and your heart are not aligning, is that her fault or a lack of something? Or is it just you're incapable? Or you really truly don't want this? It's weird. The whole thing for me is weird with him. Um, so this is where he says, like, I tell myself to not just trust my feelings. Um, he says, what if I am making a mistake by doing that? But I think she says that she needs something tangible, something to work with, because I think she feels in this moment that he's really talking in circles, but not giving her concrete things that she can work with to try to work with him. And he says, it's the energy. And I said, whoop, that is. Because didn't I say initially that the energy for him might be too much? Because he's a really calm, cool, and collected person, or so he says he is. And she's can be a lot, but again, I feel like we've seen many facets of her quote unquote energy. But at the same time, I think he's kind of hoping for that happy medium. And there actually isn't a happy medium, at least what we've seen in this process of her quote unquote energy or personality. It's either really, really happy and bubbly, or it's down in the dumps. I feel like shit. I'm on my period, whatever. Um, there isn't a happy medium. And I think that is part of the problem with him. But at the same time, I do question Is that just your cop out? You know, like that's the easy thing that you can say, that it's her energy or her personality, when really it's, your lack of wanting affection or intimacy or sex during certain points. And again, I'm sorry to say, my guy, but if you have ever been with someone of the opposite sex, you're not always going to be able to be affectionate or intimate or whatever every moment of a month. Because as women who have menstrual cycles, you're not always going to get what you want. So it just seems like at this point, it's not like you're in your 20s anymore. You know, yes, we're young still, whatever, but there are going to be limits. And you can't always have this expectation. And and then with that, if a woman is on her period, and again, there's many looks and reactions and feelings that a woman can experience, and that can vary from woman to woman. Again, have you never, you were married, have you never experienced a woman go through just horrendous symptoms with a period, whether that's emotional, physical, mental, whatever? This shouldn't be new to you at whatever age he is. I can't remember how old he is, but this shouldn't be new to you. It's just unreal. But yeah, so he says it's the energy. And he says, will your energy be too much for me? Well, I think he's already answered that question. And I've been saying that, unfortunately. And that's unfair to her. I wish he kind of just was honest with her from the get go. But at this point, you can see her shutting down, because I think in this moment, she's literally thinking, here we go again. And she really broke my heart in this scene. But he says, it's not you, it's me. Are you for real right now? I'm sorry. Just PSA here. Everyone, when you say it's not you, it's me, we know automatically it's not true. It is me. Otherwise, you wouldn't say A, B, or C, and the A, B, or C is about me. He's literally saying, oh, your energies might be too much. Or, that's a big thing here. He says it's the energy it might be too much. Well, that's about her then. That's not about you. What? Like, are you trying to say, oh, maybe because I just can't handle that? But then it's about her still. Like, anyway, he says, it's not you, it's me. She says, but you literally are saying that it is me. And she's like, you told me you liked me for me, but now I'm too much. And I think that's a really good point. But again, that's the experiment. She says, you know, I I've heard this similar thing before. I'm good to date for 2 months, and then I'm too much. And it was at this point that just kind of broke me, because I'm like, I feel really bad, because it brought me back to what she said in the pods. She said that to him. She did. She said that to him. I'm not sure she said it to Bowden, but I know she said it to Ramses. And it's no way you don't realize that she is his bubbly personality through the pods. And, obviously you're on vacation mode or whatever, but she was the same way like that throughout Cabo. Now real life comes and overwhelming and everything like that. And you're going to get these ups and downs. But you knew what you were signing up for when you chose her. And she told you this. The decent thing would have been, you know what? maybe I'm not it. But you're a coward. Or I even wonder, is he using her? Of course he's using her, it has to be. But I feel like he kind of thought, well, I know I'm not going to marry her at the end of this, but at least I can have some fun while I'm at it. And it's just, I hate to go there, but just, if he feels gross to me. He does. Anyway, she says, I feel like you have made up your mind. And he doesn't say as much, but I mean, I think we can all agree he's made up his mind. And he keeps saying things like, "Oh, I want to know about the future" or something. I think he's also said this before as well. And she's like, "I'm not gonna know what that is going to look like because we haven't lived it." He wants like this, I don't know, this magic 8 ball or something that's gonna tell him what his future is gonna look like with Marissa, but that's not possible. That's not how life works. We don't get to know our future, and we don't get to know how things are going to turn out. We're not privy of that. We're not to know that. So I don't know what he wants from her. But and I think she's also says that, we are in charge of our future. And again, I don't think that's good enough for him, but and she then also says to him in this moment, which I think is probably one of the realest things, and I think he needed to hear it. She says, I don't think you should have been in this experience. Because I don't think he was all ready to be someone's husband. I don't think he wanted to be someone's husband at the end of this. And she said, I think this is too much for you. And she also says here, and it broke my heart as well. She says, I just want someone to choose me. I think that's all we ever want. And he says that I did fall in love with you. Don't freaking tell her this now. I hate this shit. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear now because it no longer matters. Because at the end of the day, you're still choosing you don't want to be with me. So why would you then say, oh, I did fall in love with you? So you fell in love with me, but I'm still not good enough for you to actually take that leap. So the leap of faith. So what is the point of telling me this? And he says, I did fall in love with your energy, but you are also saying, oh, maybe it's too much for me. Which is it? He's contradicting himself through this whole thing for what reason? And he says that there is nothing left to say. Then she gets up and just she's breaking down. She's crying. She's breaking down. Um, she says, "It's the worst day of my life." They do hug, and which is she's better than me because I wouldn't have let him hug me. But anyways, they hug, and she's just crying, and she says, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" She constantly asks that. Are you sure? And it's like you just want to say to her, "Don't beg him for shit," because he's already made up his mind, and he's made up his mind on merits that don't exist. Do not beg him. But she says, are you sure? And all he can say back to her is, I'm sorry. And that's all you need to know. But she will say it again, and he again just says, I'm sorry. And this is where I was like, this is breaking my heart. And she feels like this came out of nowhere. It did. For her, it did, because he made her believe that he wanted to do this. They had their little I think it was, did they do a boat ride again? I can't remember, but they had a little outing or whatever, and he made her believe that this was gonna happen. He made her believe that he wanted to marry her. So I can understand from her perspective that she feels this was out of nowhere, but as the viewer, like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, and I hate it. I hate it for her, but I I said from the beginning that they weren't going to make it. And I didn't think that they were going to say yes at the altar. I wasn't expecting them to not make it to the altar, but I'm not surprised that they didn't make it. And with everything that happened, we see things that I did not expect to see from him. And to see those things kind of play out and how they're just not meshing with what they expect in their relationships. Um, that's another thing that's was very telling that this isn't gonna work. And again, she says, "Are you sure?" And he says again, that he's sorry here again. And I think he says like this is the worst mistake, or I don't quite understand here. And she kind of says the heartbreak hurt so much, or hurt so bad, and it's oh God. And she again, she's just crying. Um, she's left crying. I think she was on the floor, and she says, "I feel like um, I." She says, "I feel crazy. Did I miss something?" Yes and no. I don't think she necessarily missed some things. I don't think he quite put it out there. At the end of the day, I feel like I can't speak for her, and she hasn't said this, but I know how it feels to make sure you're having enough sex with your partner to make sure that they're satisfied and they're not going to want to seek other options. And I do wonder if that's how she feels or she felt with him. And I can say it's not worth it. No one should make you feel like you are obligated to have as much sex as he wants in order to make sure he doesn't stray. Because guess what? He's still going to stray. Whether you're having enough satisfactory amount of time of sex a week or something, um, he's still going to stray at the end of the day. Um, she does call her mom at this point and tells her what's going on. And I said, "So, does he still have his balls? I want to know. Or his dick. Does does he still have it?" That's a question I would love to have posed to him during the reunion. But anyway, that's a wrap on them. We've talked about them for 24 minutes now. But yeah, that's a wrap on them. And I got that right, unfortunately. I hate to say that I got that right because I feel really horrible for her because she obviously took this really hard. But I was right. So there's that. Anyway, we got bachelor and bachelorette parties. Not much here to really talk about, but we'll go through it quickly. We only have two couples for this, so it's a little more intimate. The guys go to a basketball game, so they're having fun. The ladies go to like a PJ party. I see tents, so yeah. And the guys at the basketball game played this kind of like musical chair but basketball style game. And whoever the winner is got to win a prize. Um, I believe what they had to basically do is dribble the ball while there's music playing. And if the music stops, they have to, I guess, stop dribbling the ball and then sit down. I think that's how this goes. But anyways, they did that. Tyler wins. There you go. And Tyler won an autographed basketball. He said there was no other way this was supposed to go. I was supposed to win. This is how this is. Anyway, it's wedding time. We are at the weddings, and we have Ashley and Tyler's wedding first. So I thought, first of all, just the outside of the venue is very gorgeous. It's pretty. I don't have much to say about the venue inside. I did like the natural light. Well, they were outside, weren't they? Yes, they were outside. Um, the grounds looked nice enough. There was like the barn where they did the reception, which is actually really nice as well. So I think this venue was pretty nice. I liked it. Anyway, the so Tyler did not sleep much the night before. His friends ended up showing up, and One of them asks, so what happens after this? And he's like, well, the reception. But what happens even after that? And Tyler says, the baby making room. And I said, yikes. Uh, mm, you gonna claim this one too, or no? Jesus. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a happy occasion. Let's continue. Um, then her friend, I think it's Teely or Telly, um, it brings her a gift, and it's basically like sexy lingerie that she can wear during the wedding night. Yeah. Anyway, or I think it's a robe, not so much a lingerie, but I know it serves the same purpose. It's actually quite beautiful, actually. Um, did anyone else notice too when they're doing the makeup and stuff like that, that her eye mask, the little eye strip thing, whatever the hell it's called, was just falling down and no one was fixing it, but eventually it did get fixed. Anyway, he says, I'm 100%. I'm just not sure what she's gonna do, what she's gonna say. Um, and Tyler is in a suit. Again, I think I'm just picky. Maybe I need to go back a little bit with that, but I feel like if you're going to wear a tux, that the tux needs to be one solid color. I don't think there should be white on black or whatever. I think it needs to be one color. So he looked great. Um, was it double breasted? I'm not sure, but it did look a little big on him. I will say, like the jacket part looked big on him, but I don't like the he was wearing a white jacket, and then black pants. I can't remember if he wore white or black under the jacket. I can't remember, but I didn't like that. I feel like it should be one solid color. That's just how I feel. I don't care what color it really is, to be totally honest. I mean, there's only so much you can choose from for a wedding, but I don't like two colors going on. But anyway, her mom is absolutely gorgeous. I'm not sure if we met her. We must have met her before. I don't remember, but she's gorgeous. And she gets her dress on, and she does look pretty. I still don't like the dress, but she looks pretty. And here we meet, I think it's Brian or Dan, ex Dan, who's Tyler's mom, who we have not met before, but we've definitely heard about. And she's very pretty. And he says that his palms are sweaty. And I'm not going to do it, but the first thing I thought about was, you better lose yourself in the music the moment you want. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. Okay. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better. Okay. Anyways, he says his palms are sweaty, but we're heading into the ceremony, and she sorry, they have dancers. They have what looks like, I don't know if it's necessarily ballerina or contemporary, so it's not contemporary, but that's the term that not necessarily ballerina, but it's kind of like that, but it's more relaxed. Um I guess contemporary. Maybe contemporary. But anyways, they're dancing, spinning. Yep. And we have a harp. We have a harp that's doing the music, which is different. And she gets there and it's great and whatever. We start off the ceremony with praying, which seems absolutely fitting. And we kind of go into those vows, and he goes first and kind of to do some of the highlights of everyone's vows here, but we're not going to do every little thing. But he says that his greatest adventure is her, and then she goes next, and she kind of mentions, you jumped out of an airplane for me. And, which is, we kind of know where that goes. But Then we kind of get to that part of the episode of the vows that we wait for, that we're just getting ready to do. And that is the number one question: is love truly blind? And they first say, Tyler, do you take her to be your wife? And he says yes. And then Gia also says yes. And they are married. So there we go. One out of two. We'll see how listen, there's only one way the next wedding can go. There are no other options. There's just none. We'll get there though. And what I really love, and I feel like this is something that once I kind of knew the history behind this, and um the symbolism of what this is, I love seeing jumping over the broom, and it's definitely something that I want to do in my next wedding, is jumping the broom. Um, but so they jump the broom, and I love that. And even though I hate this, but I love that. So there's yeah. Um, but yeah, that's it for them. Congrats to them. Good luck to her. Now we have Garrett and Taylor's wedding. And again, like I said, there's no other way this is supposed to go, right? Right. So she says that she is so excited and she is happy, and she gets a wedding hanky from her mom that I mean it was seemed to have been from the hospital that she was born in, but it's was her bonnet, and they turned it into a hanky that she could have as her something old for her wedding. So it's very cute and very thoughtful. And so then we're kind of with Garrett for a little bit here, and he's kind of getting the help of her dad, Tom, to help with his bow tie. And I think they need to try to get the collar over the bow tie properly, because it was kind of scrunched up underneath his bow tie. But um, they seem to have a good relationship between Garrett and her dad. And he promises, he says, to take good care of her, to compliment her, all the things. And her dad says, well, I believe you. I believe what you say. And he said, you have my blessing. And he also says he likes him. It does come up. But he kind of tells this story about, not really a story, he's really going into the details, but he kind of says, I'm wearing my brother's tie, and he gets emotional. And he says, Taylor was with me those final 2 weeks that my brother was alive. And I think he really appreciates that she was there. And he says, she'll be there for you too. Whenever you need her to be there, she'll be there. And I thought that was, yeah, it was really, a really sweet thing. And he says that he said I had 8 groomsmen. This is her dad, Tom. And I only have 4 left. He said, I lost my good friend a month ago. My goodness. Wow. Um, and he says, no one else should be. Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. Never mind. That's basically with Tom and Garrett there. But what I didn't like here, because we do kind of see Taylor in her dress, and her dress looks great. This is where I said, wait a minute, was her dress always short like this? Like, I didn't remember it being short, but she looks great. She has legs for days, so like whatever. But her bridal party is all wearing white, and I'm like, okay, clearly that's a choice that she made, and we'll respect it. But I don't think anyone else should be wearing white except for the bride. That's just, I'm a believer of that, but anyways. And we kind of talk about the fact that Garrett and Taylor are getting married on the 13th of whatever month this is. And her parents got married on the 13th. So she's thinking, like, this is a really great sign, because, if my parents got married on the 13th, then like this is gonna work, right? Hold on to that. So we see him very briefly. I'm not going to go through the ins and the outs here with the conversation. But we do see his parents have made it to the wedding, which I'm very happy that they made it, despite maybe whatever reservations they have. And they're talking, and it did feel a little bit like his mom was trying to like very subtly convince him to not go through with this. And I said, Mom, shut the fuck up. This is my only hope. Okay. These two are my only hope for the season. Anyway, they're talking, and I said, oh my God, his parents, like the producers, you must have, when they said this, the producers must have been like, oh my God. Because they say, his parents says, oh, it's the 13th. We were married on the 13th. And Garrett's like, oh, I didn't know you guys were married on the 13th, which, wait a minute. You don't know your parents' engagement? Your parents' anniversary? What's going on? Anyways, neither here nor there. They said they were married on the 13th. Just like her parents were married on the 13th, just like they are going to be getting married on the 13th. They are forever, y'all. They're gonna last forever. Like, oh my gosh, like okay, this is some good. Mm, okay. So, um, but now we're heading into the ceremony, and around here, so we do the vows, and he's the one that goes first, and he says he promises to keep it as hot as it was in Cabo. Ooh. And in her vows, she says that sorry, she says, when she says her vows, she's like, I have notes too. Look, I even titled it notes. And she says that she had a cold shoulder to dating, but then he kind of made her realize that maybe she just wasn't open to the right person. And I said, damn straight you weren't, because you're with the right person. And she says she really caught a big fish because he loves fish. So yeah, I love it. And then we get to that time of the show that there's no other way this is supposed to go but positive. But anyways, here we go. We're at the part of, is love truly blind? And Garrett says, absolutely I do. And Taylor says, I do. And yeah, they are married. And this was the only way it was supposed to go. If it didn't go this way, I would have been done with the show. Not really, but here I am. Finally, we have a couple that we can actually really truly root for. Not that I want to be mean to Amy and, was it Amy and what was the guy's name? Johnny? I'm not mean, because I like them as well, but I just didn't have that same passion for them the way that I do for Taylor. Taylor and Garrett are going down as the top Love is Blind couples, along with Cameron and Lauren, Brett and Tiffany, right? Was her name? And um eh, Zach and Bliss, I feel like goes in that as well. Um, where I feel really confident about it. And Alexa and Brennan, even though I don't feel that way anymore about them, but during the season I did. So they kind of go down in the history of that, and more so I think on the level of the Browns and Lauren and Cameron. And I am really happy that they went the distance. Yay! So they basically have like a horse-drawn carriage that takes them from the ceremony venue to the reception venue, and she's like, this is kind of how you do things in Fredericksburg, right? This is transportation in Fredericksburg. And I'm like, she's got jokes. um but like I said, the barn is really cute, and that's it, y'all. That is the end of the season, except for we still have the reunion, so we'll get to that. But that's it for this episode, and this was so far a great season. I think just kind of here we'll kind of talk more about what we felt about this season, in the final episode. But this season was the season I think we needed after season 6 and 5. And this was a really good season, I think. We had the drama, we had the love that we want to see from this. The only misstep with this season was Leo and Brittany. That was the only misstep. But otherwise, it's it was a good run. I think it kind of made a little bit of a comeback with this season that it kind of needed. But yeah, that's basically it. So the next episode you guys can expect to receive um is we're gonna do the bonus for Below Deck Med. Is gonna be really quick though. There's not much really I want to talk about. So it's gonna be a little quicker, but there will be that episode for Below Deck Med. Not Below Deck Med, sorry, it's Below Deck Sailing Yacht. So there'll be an episode for that. And then we'll be kind of getting back to regular scheduling. And I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to tackle, but I'll let you know for after Below Deck what what the next thing is gonna be in order to catch up on. Also, who's real love's blind here. I am hopefully planning to have a guest on the reunion for Love is Blind, so we can kind of talk about the season on a whole and the episode itself, and we'll see what that is. I don't want to say yet who that is. I don't want to say 100% that's going to happen yet, but once I know for sure, I will confirm that, or at least I feel a little more comfortable that's actually going to happen. I will confirm that, but that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps, every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.